Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, August 4th, and we're wrapping up the first week. Well, I guess not the first full week, but the first week into the month of August, and definitely mixed price action. Unemployment numbers were mixed today, but may signal, good news on the horizon. It's definitely hard to interpret right now, but it wasn't entirely good or entirely bad. So take that for what you will. We're looking at DXY right now, which paired back pretty heavily after the unemployment print. So it was hovering around that resistance turned supports. Obviously dropped back down. So that is a deviation. And should be respected. And it broke beneath these lows right here. So if it breaks beneath kind of this level right here that I'm drawing, then it'll definitely drop down to this 101 level. It's got kind of a last hope at 101.5. So that's what the bulls will be looking for. And obviously the lower this goes, the better chances, risk assets as a whole have. And and if this recovers, then risk will probably drop back down a little bit. So looking at equities, finally this data has normalized. Let's double check. Yeah, so it was really, there was some weird reporting earlier, so I was tracking SPY instead of futures. But let's look at the hourly here, because I think that's significant. Dropped in the morning and then ripped higher on that unemployment numbers. Or the unemployment number release. And obviously we told the TTC community, I think it was 456, get above that, and then you'll head towards kind of 4560, maybe 4565. So that's kind of this area. Oh, let me grab my draw tool. So this area right here is where you'll be targeting. And it does look likely right now. I mean, obviously there's not too many hours left in the trade day. But this lower range, we expected kind of it to trade around. And obviously if you can get above this level here, then it can reattack the 4590 level. And then obviously, if we get rejected at 4560, 4565, basically kind of this little gap up here, then we will end up dropping back down. But so far so good, and I think that's due to unemployment numbers as well as DXY dropping. But the one interesting thing is DXY paired back a good deal way back to late July. So you erased 4 or 5 days of price action, and equities are still kind of stuck. So this is where DXY was when it topped. So let's compare that. Or I'm sorry, this was DXY. Stop, Benji. This was DXY, when it was right here. And so, I'm sorry, this was DXY on the 31st. This is equities on the 31st. DXY then moved higher. Equities paired back, right? So now that DXY is dropping heavily, I guess not too heavy, but definitely a significant candle in the grand scheme of things compared to general movement. Now equities are not zooming higher. So this is certainly something that I would be concerned with if you are a bull. Just general, weakness, even though it's not exactly weakness, but it's, slower move than normal compared to what we're seeing for DXY. So just something to be aware of. And so I think this level will be very critical as we head into next week. We may test it today, but wouldn't expect too much crazy price action as we head towards the weekend. But Bitcoin, just absolutely boring. Also interesting to note that DXY dropped lower, and this is all the bullish price action that we've had so far. So we told the TTC community, get above this VWAP right here, move up to at least these highs, maybe grab this 29.5 level, get rejected from the VWAP, obviously drop back to 29.1. That's where we've been sitting on support for several days, and then break below this level, and then eventually, likely grab, liquidity here at the very least, this liquidity here. So something to be aware of on that end of things. And then one thing I thought was interesting, and I've covered this a bunch on the show, and it's not 100%, but it is more, it plays out more often than not. And so every time we break if we break the trend, typically we'll get a retest, and then it'll end up moving higher. And it may not be, that distinct. It may be, chop right here and then, eventually kind of move higher or something like that. And then if it breaks back down like this, then we'll probably end up doing something like that. So something to be aware of, but typically that is a long. I did try a long earlier, and then we got rejected on the VWAP, and then I took a short on that VWAP rejection. So I am sitting in a small short on Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, but I'm not, I'll be honest with you, I don't love it. I'm just doing it because that's what my system says to do. We typically play the VWAPs and the moving averages, seriously. And, yesterday, if you shorted that, you got a little short down to 29.1. So I'm going to replay that again today, see if we get 29.1 or possibly lower. Again, the weakness with DXY has been a bit concerning. But we'll have to see how this plays out, because we have some bull trends, we have some bear trends, and I'm gonna play the VWAP rejection, but it's definitely it's getting precarious. So looking at Ethereum, very similar. We had this big rejection, and then we jumped back up, and now we had that Darth Maul, and then dropping a little bit lower. So definitely something to be concerned about on that end of things. So what you would expect is, considering we had this price action yesterday, we dropped back to this level, similar price action would expect to drop back to this level as well. So something to be aware of, in terms of Ethereum. And then obviously if it cranks back up and it holds this level, then we're going to move back up to that 1860 level. So definitely, we're in a weird price range right now. We're kind of center of the Monday range. And typically that's a tough area to play, but we do know the VWAP, presents some good trading opportunities, breaks above long, breaks below short, rejection short. So if we get this confirmed rejection here, we'll short it. And then obviously if it confirms back above, maybe we get a nice wick in the next 20 minutes. Then I'll cut my shorts and we'll play it long. So definitely a weird position to be in. But we've definitely been in worse. So my bias is more or less short, but again, break above the VWAP will obviously move higher. So I wish I had, there's not too much news to cover today. The unemployment data, see if that popped up on this chart just to kind of cover that. It does frustrate me that MarketWatch doesn't update these immediately, but hourly wages were about flat for over year on year. Unemployment rate ticked down to 3.5%. So that was kind of the negative from that print. And then, the hourly wages, still a concern, but some analysts are saying bad. Some analysts are saying it's palpable. So that's what the interesting thing is this is kind of like, it isn't good and it isn't bad. So we'll have to assess, the further inflation prints. And I think it's just going to continue to be, business as usual in that sense. So DXY dropping, we want to hold this level for the bears. We want to break this level for the bulls. ES climbed a little bit higher. So, we'll see what happens at 45.60, which we're at now, 45.65, maybe in an hour or two. That rejects off, maybe crypto sells off as well. And then Bitcoin is still, stuck and under the estimated trend moving average on the 1 hour, stuck underneath the weekly VWAP. We do have this RSI break. So, some people will be playing the rejection. Some people will be playing the break. I'm currently obviously in the rejection, but, we're ready to flip if needed. So, and then Ethereum is, looks a little bit stronger, I would say. But again, similar price action yesterday. We could see something. Maybe it grabs 1855. Scary. And that's where a lot of longs get in, and we have similar price action to this. So just be careful. This is ugly price action, in my opinion. And so I think you need to play it as smart as possible. So good luck. Happy trading. See everybody on Monday.